Welcome back to Razmafsar TV. I'm really happy to have Usman on our channel. Hi, Usman. How are you?
I'm brilliant, thanks, Doctor. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. Usman is a team member and instructor of Razmafsar UK. Usman, could you introduce yourself a bit, please?
Yep, so many of you may have seen me on the channel before. I'm an instructor in Raz Mafsar. I've been training Raz Mafsar now for a few years. And I train every single day under the watchful eye of Doctor. Some days I train many hours a day. And it's been an incredible journey so far. I've managed to not only learn about the various different weapons in Raz Mafsar, but really develop as a person as well. There's so many brilliant teaching in Raz Mafsar, which not only applies to weapons, but applies to general life as well.
Many thanks, Usman Jan. Could you please tell us a bit about your training? What kind of trainings do you do in martial arts?
So when I first started martial arts, I started predominantly doing boxing. Or even before that, I started. Me and you've spoken before. We've done an interview. I played football to a very high level.
Yes.
I played for various professional teams, including Leyton Orient, including Charlton, and I was well on my way, you could say, to becoming a professional footballer. But the thing with football and life in general is that there are many unexpected turns that can happen. And unfortunately, during my football journey, I got injured whilst I was at a professional club. And for me, I remember being heartbroken at the time because you invest so much into one thing, and when it doesn't work out, inevitably you feel devastated. But as I say, one door closes, another door opens. After I got injured in football, I managed to come across a boxing club, and I was about 16 at the time, and I absolutely loved boxing. So I began learning boxing. I went to various different gyms in London, and now I can say I've been to pretty much all the top gyms within London. And I've been training boxing now for a very long time. I've also done Muay Thai, kickboxing. I've also dabbled in wrestling as well. And of course, now I've been practicing Razmov and Razmov is not just the weapon side, but we've also got the empty-handed side as well, where we need to know how to fight without weapons. That's whether boxing, Kyokushin, Muay Thai. The list really goes on of all these realistic martial arts.
Very nice, Usman. And what I really appreciated, you have a very high level of boxing, and I think you were also considering for some time to turn professional, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, whoops, my headphones fell out there. But yeah, what's that exactly? I've been to many different gyms, and many different gyms, they say to me, you should always fight professionally. You should always have a professional debut. I could go far in the professional game. But the problem is I'm also working a professional job as well. So there's always the risk that because boxing is a dangerous sport. There's people I know personally who've been killed in boxing. So it's a very dangerous sport, and many people overlook that. So
Yes,
for me,
yes.
it's sort of weighing up the pros and the cons. And I think at the moment it's just too much of a risk where if I make a professional fight and I get a brain injury, that impacts my finances and my full-time job. So
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
And the reason you're here today specifically, we are going to talk about the very, very good and excellent Instagram page you have, which is called Unzip History. Let me just share a bit the first page of Unzip History here so viewers can take a look at that. Okay, tell us about what it is and what is the project of Unzip History here.
Yeah, so Unzip History, it's been a lifelong sort of journey of mine. I started off the account, in fact, with the name Baba Nama. That was the original Instagram name account, and it was based on the life of Babur, who was a an interesting figure in himself. He was the first Mughal emperor, who was at one point in his life a wandering vagabond in the mountains of Central Asia, and he managed to somehow beat all the impossible odds and claim a throne in Hindustan. And establish the Mughal Empire. So he had an incredible life. And my Instagram account was first essentially documenting the life of Babur. And I remember when I first started posting about Babur, it got a lot of attraction. And I also saw that there was a need for general history as well. Many people were interested in not just in
Mm.
Babur's life, but the history around him.
Yes.
So then I started posting on general history, different other Mughal emperors, and many people when you begin studying the Mughal Empire, you realize just how much of an influence they had, not only with their Indian influences but with Persia as well. The lingua franca of the Mughal Empire was Farsi, Persian.
Yes.
Much of the architecture, if you go to modern day Pakistan or India now, you can see that all around the architecture it has Persian writing, Persian
Yes.
motifs. So
Yes.
there's been always a deep cultural link between the two. So as I started posting about the Mughal Empire, I started posting about different empires as well, the Safavid Empire, the Delhi Sultanate, for example, the Mamluk Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the list really goes on. And as I was doing that, the page was getting more and more traction. And before I knew it, it reached about 10,000. And I realized that this is doing a great service, in my opinion, for a lot of people who want to learn about authentic history. And then as I was building up my Instagram page, I've always been somebody who's been practicing archery and horse riding for a very long time now. And at the time, I was doing a bit of both. I wanted to get into horseback archery, but I was practicing archery, I was practicing horse riding. And that's where my sort of first real interest into arms and armor came across as well. So as I was as my interest in arms and armor was developing, I sort of saw how I could link both arms and armor and history and be able to share them to the general masses. And interestingly, Doctor, that was also how I came across the Raz Mafsar channel a few years ago. I saw one of your solo trainings, and I'll never forget. I remember it was you solo training in the freezing winter, and there was snow everywhere. And I saw you moving with your weapons, and I was like, "Wow, this is a true martial artist." Because
Okay.
there's many people who train in dojos, train in gyms, but it's a different level when you're training in across all the seasons. You were
Yes.
training in the freezing winter to the scorching summer. And for
Yes.
me, that's what really inspired me. When I saw you, Doctor, I knew that you're a true martial artist, and that's what sort of led me into Raz Mafsar.
What? When did you change it to the unzip history?
That's a good question. If I'm honest, Doctor, my memory is not the greatest. I think it must have been sometime in early 2023. I think I changed the name from Baba Nama to Unzip History because Baba Nama is it's a very niche name. I wasn't too sure why I called it Baba Nama in the first place because not many people are going to be on Instagram typing the Baba Nama. And so I changed
But
it.
I have a question. Why did you choose unzip, the verb unzip history? Why did you use discover history?
Oh, that's a great question, and I can tell you the answer, Asad. There's another Instagram page called Unzip Delhi, and it's another Instagram. I think his name's Anis Khan, and he's got a great Instagram page, and he just posts different videos and different shorts on Delhi and the culture and the architecture. And I remember I used to love his page, but I thought to myself, the word unzip it's a unique word. Not many people use that, so I sort of thought to
No,
myself, I could put unzip and then history, and I thought that would be quite catchy and that would be quite unique. So
it
that's the reason.
is.
Yeah,
It is. One of the problems of Ras Mafsar is few people can even pronounce that,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
few people can even say that.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing with Rise Mafsar, it's catchy as well. It's like it is very catchy.
Okay. And why were you interested in Babur?
That's a good question. I think one of the main interests in Baba was from his autobiography, The Baba Nama. I remember I read it a few years ago, and it was an incredible work, absolutely incredible, where he sort of documented his life. And he went through the many ups and downs of life. I remember at one point reading how he had essentially nothing, and he was even considering about becoming a Sufi mystic in the middle of traveling all the way to China. He said he was sort of expressing that he didn't have any hope of becoming an emperor, but yet he managed to overcome all of the odds and defeat the Lodi dynasty in the Battle of Panipat and establish the Mughal Empire. And his life was absolutely fascinating, and also how I think there's a common misconception where many people think that the Mughal Empire in itself is a new sort of empire that started from Babur.
Yeah.
The actual term is actually the British word for it's a corrupted word for Mongol and Persian, and the British sort of coined it. They actually refer to themselves, and I remember, Doctor, we spoke about this before, as Kurugan, meaning son-in-law of Timur, or Tamerlane in the West. So Babur, he saw his empire as a continuation of that of Tamerlane's of Timur. So it's incredible as well when you sort of pull back the layers and you sort of look at the history before Babur as well as
Yes.
the history after him as well. And I think that's one of the reasons which really drew me to him, just reading about his story, reading about the various lessons in his life and lessons which we can even apply in today's world as well.
Yes. So let me just go to the next part, and for that, just bear with me. So, yes, of course, in Persian, they're called Gurkhani or Gurkhanian. And yeah, of course, not Mughal, as you said that. That's what in Persian is called. And they refer to themselves Gurkhani or Gurkhanian. Going back to Unzip history, Usman, you have 23,000 700 followers is huge.
Thank you.
How
Yeah.
did you make it?
I think consistency. Consistency is the key, and it's the same thing we do at Raz Mafsar, where we upload videos every single day. I think in life, even in martial arts, if you want to be successful, if you want to see results, you have to be consistent. And I applied that same principle to my Instagram and also what I do with Raz Mafsar as well. I try to be consistent as I can. So with Instagram, I try to post as often as I can.
Yes.
And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people like my Instagram account is I try to be authentic as I can. When I share these descriptions, they really come from my heart. I'm not just using ChatGPT as some people do just to create these descriptions. I'm really writing it down as if I'm speaking to the audience.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the reasons. And of course, aside one of the reasons as well was I get to work with, specialists like yourself, and I'm able to speak to your side and incorporate your magnificent insights into my captions as well. And I think people absolutely love that. So I think that's one of the reasons. And also, I think I'm lucky. I think there's many other Instagram accounts which are much more informative than mine, but the algorithm, it works in strange ways sometimes.
I mean, I really ask all members on this channel to go. I'm going to put the link, direct link to Unzip History, your page, to go and see
Thank you.
how much information you put and how much effort you put in describing every item. It is really adorable. It is really commendable. Really nice. Really nice. Just the second question I have, how do you choose artifacts? Do you have a special focus,
Ye-
culture-wise?
Yeah, as somebody who practices Razmaf Sar, my focus has always been on Persian arms and armor. And I
Mm.
think there's just something magical about Persian arms and armor. There's really is. I mean, just the level of detail in Persian arms and armor and also the quality of the blades. I think there's nothing really that can compare to a Persian blade, honestly. I've looked at many different types of arms and armor, and for me, Persian arms and armor has always stood out. Of course, I love Indian arms and armor as well. And the great thing, in fact, about Mughal arms and armor is that it's a beautiful blend between the Persian and the Indian elements as well.
Yes, it
But
is.
yeah, aside, my interest has always predominantly been in Persian.
Okay. And do you also, but I've seen that you also have beautiful pictures of Japanese armor, Chinese armor, Tibetan armor as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally saying all arms and armor is beautiful. And aside, we know this. We look at when we even practice, we look at different schools such as Katori, and
Yes,
there's a beauty that these warriors had before us. I think there was something that they understood about life and about weapons that just cannot be replicated today. Many people try, but it's very difficult. And I think this is what the essence of Razmafsar is, which we try to teach people who join our organization not just about using weapons, but also about the principles of being a Javanmard, about the principles of being a good person, about the principles of how to be successful in your everyday life as well. And I think that's one of the great aspects of arms and armor is that there's a beautiful code and there's a beautiful history behind it as well.
yes, absolutely. If you only train for weapons, then it gets lost. Of course, I fully
Yeah.
agree with you. I fully agree with you. And tell me also about, do you sometimes post also on European arms and armor?
I'll be honest, I've got about 600 posts, and I think there might be one or two.
Oh, one or
One or
two.
two. Not that I hate European arms and armor, but it's just not my taste. My taste has always been in Asian arms and armor. There are some incredible examples of European arms and armor that I've seen in various different museums as well. But for me, my interest has always predominantly been in Asian.
Awesome. Do you also do you are you also interested in Indonesian,
Oh, Indonesia.
Filipino?
Oh, exactly. Indonesian arms and armor is incredible. Absolutely
Incredible, right?
incredible. And we have members of Razmafsar as well who come from these various backgrounds as well. And
Yes,
it's such a beautiful history. And I think
yes,
a lot of it is still very much alive. We see within a screamer, for example,
yes,
and even the weaponsmiths, many of them still produce excellent pieces.
yes. Indonesia also in Filipinos.
Philippines, yeah,
Filipinos means the Philippines. They also do that. They have a living tradition. The
yeah,
tradition has never died. And the interesting thing, I mean, Moro weapons or Filipino weapons or Moro, if you wanted to get two separate ones, they are very, very, very solid weapons. What I really like about Indonesian, they have as many descriptions for the blade as Persians and Japanese do.
yeah,
Blade classification, the names, everything in Indonesian, unbelievable,
incredible.
incredible, incredible. Usman, are you more interested in weapons or armor?
I think personally for me, it's always been weapons.
Okay.
I love armor as well, and of course, you cannot go into battle historically without armor on. You'd be a walking target. I mean, you could, but you wouldn't survive very long.
Yeah.
Of course, was very important. But I think for me, being somebody who practices Razmov Sar, there's just a beauty in learning the different techniques. For example, when I first was doing archery before I joined Razmov Sar, I was just simply pulling back the bow, and if I thought the release felt good, I thought that was a good shot. But when practicing Razmov Sar, and thanks to the incredible work you've done on Stard and Bede, you've realized just how much depth there is, how much detail that these warriors had. You learn
Yes.
about all the various different draws from Borotkesh to Sinekesh to Rishkesh. There was just so much depth to these
Yes.
manuals, and for me, that's one of the reasons I love training with weapons. I love looking at the various historical aspects and looking at the various manuals and learning about the technical aspects as well. And that's also somebody as a martial artist, as somebody that's boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling. I've always been somebody like that as well. I don't just simply like to punch someone and say, "Oh, that's a great punch." I like to look behind the science of it, where
Mm.
there's where's the weak points of a body, where's the right place to hit. Why, if I punch him in the liver, why does he feel it? I think I really like looking at the technical aspects of it, and that's one of the incredible parts of Razmov Sar is that there's just so much technical depth and also so much detail, and you really get to learn the sciences behind it. And many of our students, when we teach them Mustard in private lessons, we have students all over the world, and one of the most rewarding things is seeing just the look on their face when they realize, wow, that's incredible. That's why warriors were pulling the bow to there. That's why warriors were doing that certain movement. I think that's one of the most rewarding aspects.
I remember, like teaching one of our students in the United States, like this private lesson,
Yeah.
and she told me something a very good archer, and she told me when she uses changale bars, right, or changale bars or changale bars, which is this, right,
Yep.
hawk's grip, grasp, and but because before I started to translate and then we annotated the beat together, based on Arab archery and Turkish archery, they also took it from Persian because they also call it in Turkish, also like in Arabic, like a corrupted way of Persian, but they use the
Yep.
same Changalabas. They say it's the best one, but then I translated, as you know, 12 Persian archery manuals, and then they debate. That some of them say no, it's not good. Some of them
Hmm.
say it's Bahrami, which is the Sasanian
Yep.
grasping is good. Some of them is no, is for example, Morabba, square grip is good. Some of them they say Shir Dast is good. So she was doing Changale bars, Hawk's grasp, and with a bow which is lighter. Then she bought a new bow, which couple of poundages more. But then she told me this grasp allows her to be more flexible and shoot at different sides more precisely.
Hmm.
But when because of some more poundage on the bow, she felt much better to hold it in sheer dust or in square grasp. So to close it, not to do like this, but to not like this, but to close it like this, right? Sheer,
Yep.
like this square grasp. So then I just realized that's right. In one of those manuals, they also talk about that.
Yep.
The grasp also differ based on the poundage on the bow and also your own personal strengths.
Hmm. Incredible.
This is
Yeah.
wonderful, right? To look at this. It's not that only, okay, you need to use that. Or, for example, they said before I started to translate, everyone borrowed cash, based on this Arab and Turkish archery,
Yep.
because there are two manuals only. Then I always ask myself, if everything borrowed cash, why in thousands of Persian miniatures, some of them are borrowed cash, some of them are Sine cash, some of them are Rish cash, some of them are Abru cash.
Yep.
Then in one of the manuals said people from Isfahan prefer Abru cash,
Yep.
eyebrow draw. They don't like borrowed cash. You see? So there were regional preferences as well. It's wonderful to see these differences.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's like everything which we sort of question today, they've already written about in the past.
Yes,
They've already explored it in depth.
yes, they did. They
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Okay, what are your plans for future, Osmanja? What for Unzip history?
I think one of the things that I definitely want to do in the future is I want to put more videos of myself in there in terms of Razmafsar training. Because as many people watching this channel know, I've been training Razmov now for a very long time,
Yes.
training with various different weapons. So that's one of my goals, is to hopefully post more content of training in Razmov on my Instagram. And I think that will also be an incredible way for people to come across my Instagram, to also come across Razmov as well. Because, Doctor, very much as I say, pretty much all of the work which I've been fortunate to share on my Instagram has in many ways been thanks to you. If it wasn't for the knowledge in your books, if it wasn't for the mentorship you gave me, I don't think my captions would be anywhere as good as they are. So of course, Doctor, massive thanks goes out to you.
Thank you very much, Osman Jan. Do you want to add anything else for our viewers today, Osman?
One thing that I just wanted to add, just speaking previously on the topic of archery, one of the incredible things which I've sort of discovered along this journey is when I first starting doing archery, I was maybe pulling about 55 pounds, 60 pounds.
Yes.
But through executing the correct Razmov techniques, really learning about the different techniques we have in archery and how to utilize your shoulder, your back, all of your muscles in unison, I can now pull bows which are 125 pounds, 130 pounds, and I share them on the channel as well. So
Yes,
for
I saw
me,
them.
that really just goes to show to anybody who's listened to this how much power, how much wisdom there are in the teachings of Razmov. If you're somebody who just does archery, somebody who just does swordsmanship, you can't really progress unless you have a teacher and unless you have a system. Otherwise, you'll just be somebody who's training but without a purpose. So, for anybody who's interested in this, definitely I would say check out Razmov. You can reach out to our emails as well, and we have online lessons where we'd be more than happy to share this wisdom with you if you're interested.
Thank you very much, Osman Jan. I wish you a nice day and hope we are going to see you on the channel more often as we have been. And I wish you a nice day, Osman.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Have a brilliant day. Speak to you soon.
You too. Thank you.